as if nothing was happening, yet everything was happening. Such was the beginning of Christ Revealed Worldwide Ministries through his servant, Prophet Edward Israel Chinyunyu, and his wife, Pastor Shilla Chinyunyu. A lying spirit entered some, and they prophesied doom. Yet God had predestined this vision, yet way before the foundations of the earth. It all began in visions, as God spoke through his servant EIC. He shared this vision with his ever-supportive wife, who embraced it with gladness. The year 2013 in April was to go down in history as a sacred month for the ministry, as this was the time that the ministry started in Hatfield. Present on the day were 5 people, namely Prince Tadisa Chinyunyu, Princess Lizzie Chinyunyu, Shilla Chinyunyu, Edward Israel Chinyunyu, and their maid called Blessing.
The following week, Gogone Humba from next door came in, and as weeks progressed, a few more joined in. As the year 2013 drew to an end, God spoke to his servant EIC to move from Hatfield into the CBD. In January 2014, the church started to have its services at Sitma College, then moved to Butter Center after a few months.
They are not there. They are not there. These boats or ships, they are laying idle. They are supposed to be getting.
It was in this season where we saw the coming of Evangelist Isaac and Pastor Isaiah along with their families, and they became pillars of strength in the ministry.
The devil rose against the church, and the church weirdly lost the venue. Christ Revealed then moved back to the garage in Hatfield for a month, then later on held its services at number 90 Robert Mugabe. It was at this venue where Christ-like Woman was launched under the able leadership of the ever-smiling and graceful Pastor Shilla Chinyunyu. As a result, many women were transformed physically as well as spiritually. Christ-like Women continues to this day to be a transformational agenda for women in Christ Revealed. At number 90 Robert Mugabe saw us receiving among us the likes of Millicent Mudzimurema and some that have relocated.
Teaching no matter this same prayer, could he contend, oh Lord, without that content with me? Hear what the Bible says in Isaiah chapter 54 verse 15. God is giving us a warning. He's saying they will surely gather, not by me.
In 2015, the ministry then moved to Eastgate at a place famously once known as the IT Center. The ministry was now being sublet with another ministry and experienced minimum favor, as heavy inconveniences were now being deliberately inflicted on Cream. This moved our services to afternoon ones, which was a completely new thing, and again disrupted numerical growth.
After a few months in 2015, the prophet of God saw in a vision the destruction of the IT center. He shared this vision with his sons and daughters, including those that the ministry were renting from. All this fell on deaf ears, and some laughed at him to scorn, until it actually happened and the ministry was left without a venue.
However, Mfakosi branch had just been launched after an agonizing crusade in 2016. The CBD branch was found an alternative venue downtown in Kaguvi, where they were to continue having afternoon services. At this time, the devil entered part of the leadership and they rose up against the prophet and they left the ministry. Those that had left began to follow upon those that had remained to leave, and indeed they left. However, some of the leaders came back, but not in good faith, and caused some great deal of harm. But God continued to preserve the ministry even until now.
The Mfakose branch and the CBD were merged, and the services were being held in Mfakose from 2016 until the crossover service 2017 into 2018. This was the most trying time for the ministry, as many were deserted, leaving a few in Mfakose. However, mighty acts of God's power began to be seen as diverse miracles took place. This is where we see Minister Shoniwa, Deaconess Myflo, and the Mambo family also joining in.
Then God spoke to his servant to take back the ministry back into town, and beginning of 2018, the ministry was now at 70 Chinoi Street.
At 70 Chinoi Street, this is where we see the famous healing miracle of our brother Tanzwa Mwanandimaye. We also see Gogo Chibarinya, who had been stuck by a witchcraft bee, and many other amazing testimonies that were received. Many people began to join the ministry, namely the Paruzeres, the Kabaya family, Hezo, Kundai Simbi, Viola Ndongwe, Pastor C. Kapuya, and many others.
However, the ministry then moved to Red Cross, 4th Street. By then, the signs of exponential growth were now evident. We began to see the arrival of Sekuru Piri and his brothers and his families. Pastor Luen Kapuya was not to be outdone, as he became part of the family as well. We saw the Msipas also coming in. By the end of 2018, the ministry moved to 73 Cameroon Street, and more evidences of God's grace upon the ministry were being witnessed.
We began to see God sending many people who are too many to be mentioned by name, but can be seen in the pictures on the display. We saw the healing of Mr. Som Teka, who came paralyzed, suffering from a stroke, but was healed all to the glory of the God of EIC. Some were barren, but the God of EIC delivered them and gave them children.
Leaders were trained and ordained. Cell groups were established, and we have 26 of them around Harare, and we are continuing to plant. In 2019, Bulawayo branch was planted and left in the care of Pastors Isaiah and Dorothy Enochs. Then, in 2020, Chinoi branch was birthed, and Pastors Luke and Tatenda Koswe were left in its care. The ministry continues to march on, and great and mighty works of God are being seen. To the glory of God, we are celebrating 8 years flavored with favor, where a new legacy of godliness is being birthed.
Christ Revealed family, Let us all glorify our God, who has no history of failure, for more and more decades and centuries of Christ Revealed Worldwide Ministries, where we exhibit the life of Christ.